everybody. Welcome to Vinyl Treasures. I'm your host, Johnny G. John Galindo, coming to you live each and every Saturday only here on Top Shelf Oldies. Want to welcome you to the February 29th, 2020 Vinyl Treasure Show. It's the all 1960s vinyl show. We do it the last Saturday of every month. So stick around for the next 2 hours, probably longer. Some cool 60s sounds, 45s out of my collection. We opened up with a British group from Dartford, Kent. They were the opening act at Shea Stadium for the Beatles. They also toured with Gene Vincent and appeared in the British movie Live It Up. If you saw that one, I didn't see it. And that was a cover of a Dave Baby Cortez hit, Rinky Dink, as done by Sounds Incorporated. That was the second of four on the Liberty label. And you can check out a video of them doing that tune on YouTube. You can check it out. That's August 64, Sounds Incorporated on Liberty with their rendition of the tune Rinky Dink. Well, enough of my babbling here. Got some cool 45s out of my collection. Lots of soul tonight. We open up the vocal portion with this singer from Houston, Texas. Was a member of the 1950s groups The Four Dots that recorded on the Freedom label, but he's best known for a big national hit, The Birds and the Bees. I'm talking about Jewel Akins. Jewel Akins. It's on the Era label. We open it up from December 65 on Era. Jewel Akins with A Slice of the Pie.
There should be enough honey for every bee. No bird should be without a nest in a tree. Love should be divided equally. And I want a slice of the pie, yeah. I've been searching for love and it just ain't there. I can't seem to find it anywhere. Everyone's entitled to their share. And I want a slice of the pie, yeah. I want some hugging and some kissing. I want the things that I've been missing. And whoever started passing love around sure forgot to put my name down. I've been waiting and waiting patiently. Love's been playing hide and seek with me. Love should be divided equally. And I want a slice of the pie, yeah. I want some hugging and some kissing. I want the things that I've been missing. And whoever started passing love around sure forgot to put my name down. There should be enough honey for every bee. No bird should be without a nest in a tree. Love should be divided equally. And I want a slice of the pie, yeah. And I want a slice of the pie, yeah. And I want a slice of the pie, yeah. And I want a slice of the pie.
Yeah, we open up the vocal portion there with Jewel Akins. Jewel Akins, December 1965 on the Era label. A Slice of the Pie is the name of the tune. That's his fifth of 9 releases on Lou Bedell's Era record label. I didn't have Pie to... I met Barbara's friend Sandy and her husband Paul. We had dinner tonight in Port Chester, New York, and Barbara said she was paying. It was Sadie Hawkins Day, I guess. And she says that's when the girls, well, I think it was really the girls asked the guys to dance. It was, but she said she was asking me if she could pay for dinner tonight. So that's fine by me. I always pay, but I I did not have a slice of the pie for dessert. I did not. I have my cup of coffee here as we continue here on the All 60s edition. And next, a gal from Memphis, Tennessee. She was a fashion model turned singer. She recorded 5 on the High label, and this was her first when she used her full name, Venise Talks, but later became Starks. But this one from June of 65. Give a listen to Venise Talks on the High record label. It's called What More Do You Want From Me?
What more do you want from me? Baby, baby, please, baby. What else can I give to you? Baby, baby, please, baby. My door is open 24 hours a day to you, and I keep praying that you love me. What more do you want from me? What else can I give to you? You don't come around no more. Baby, baby, please, baby. Not as often as you did before. Baby, baby, please, baby. People are saying that I'm just a fool in love with you. I don't care what they say. If you love me, what more do you want from me? What else can I give to you? What more do you want from me? What else can I give to you? What more do you want from me? What else can I give?
That's the first of 5 for Venise Talks. I think she later on changed her name to Starks, but that's June 1965 on the High label. What more do you want from me? Cool tune here as we do all 1960s 45s out of my collection. Now, this next group is called the Stereos. Supposedly, they are the same group from Steubenville, Ohio, that had releases in the early 1960s on Cub and Columbia and Gibraltar, but the spelling is different, and it's spelled Sterio apostrophe S versus Stereos, and I don't know what happened here, but and the interesting thing about this 45 is that the flip is the 1959 recording Sweet Peas in Love, but a sort of a longer version though. But let's give it a spin. It came out on the Ideal record label. It's from 1965, the Stereos on Ideal, and their tune is called Life.
Just go
1965 there. They're called the Stereos. The Stereos on the Ideal record label. Kind of a weird label. The number is like stamped with a stamper. It's weird on the label. Anyway, that's the Stereos there with an I-O-S. The song entitled Life as we move on here on the All 60s edition. Now, back in the late 1950s, this next artist from Memphis, Tennessee was the lead singer of a group called the Four Kings, recorded on the Stomper Time record label. Have two rare, ultra rare 45s on Stomper Time. I do have one of them. I don't have the other. But he went solo in 1965 and signed with the High record label. They had 10 singles on the label. This is his fourth, which is actually a cover song that was first done by Brenda Lee in 1966. It was a hit for her. This one charted number 29, regional number 29 on WLOK in Memphis, Tennessee. Let's go back to November 1966 with Don Bryant, Mr. Don Bryant on the High label, and his rendition of the tune Coming On Strong.
Coming on strong. I can feel the heartache coming on strong. I can feel the tears drop, the pain and the sorrow. Ever since you've been gone, they've been coming on strong.
Cover tunes here on the All 60s edition. That's Don Bryant's version of the Brenda Lee hit Coming On Strong. Pretty cool sound there from November 1966 on the High record label. You know, I was in a box that had a few High 45s in it as we continue here on the All 60s edition. Here's a duet on High Weiss's Old Town record label. They are Bobby and Betty Lou, who are Bobby Adams. He's from Seattle, Washington, and a gal by the name of Betty Smith. This charted number 15 on WJMO out of Cleveland, Ohio. Let's give it a spin here. We go back to March of 1966 for Bobby and Betty Lou on Old Town Records. It's called Soul Stirrer.
I just gotta let you know you're a
Duets here on this All 60s edition. That's Bobby and Betty Lou on Highwise's Old Town record label, March 1966. Soul Stir is the name of that one. Let's continue here. Up next, I have a group by the name of the Jimmy Velvet Five. Came out on the Velvetone record label, and actually it's a reissue of a Velvetone 105, which was by Gene and Gar with the Velvetones, which came out originally in December of 1965, but it's not really Jimmy Velvet singing at all. But it's his label, it's the Velvetone label. Let's give a listen to the intended B-side of this. Think Fred'll have a little bit to say about this record, because I know he has it. This one from December 1967, the Jimmy Velvet 5 on Velvetone Records. It's called Heartbreakin' Misery.
It's gotten up and it looks like rain. My baby left me and I'm nearly insane. She said she'd love me till the end of time, but since she's gone, the sun don't shine. She told me lies and she made me cry. My tears are falling like the rain from the sky. How can I ever be free from this heartbreaking misery? Watch the rain falling from my window. Maybe it'll melt my aching heart. Wash away the memories of yesterday and give our love a brand new start. She told me lies and she made me cry. My tears are falling like the rain from the sky. How can I ever be free from this heartbreaking misery? From this heartbreaking misery. Watch the rain falling from my window. Maybe it'll melt my aching heart. Wash away the memories of yesterday and give our love a brand new start. She told me lies and she made me cry. My tears are falling like the rain from the sky. How can I ever be free from this heartbreaking misery? Whoa! Heartbreaking misery. Whoa! Heartbreaking misery. Whoa! Heartbreaking misery.
This is Velvetone 114. It says the Jimmy Velvet 5, but it's actually Velvetone 104. And if you have that 104, it's called Gene and Gar with the Velvetones. But that one there, December 1967, it's called Heartbreaking Misery. And again, this would come out for some odd reason. Again, came out one more time in 1968 as Jimmy Velvet on the United Artists record label. Johnny G here for a Saturday evening as we continue here. And this next artist is out of Detroit, Michigan. His debut single came out on the Cable label in 1960. Had his biggest hit in 1967 on the Groovesville label. It was called Please Come Back Home. But this is an earlier release on the McKay's label, and a song he co-wrote. This one charted number 19 on WAAM out of Ann Arbor. Now, this would subsequently be picked up by Scepter Records, but we're going to give a spin to the original one. This is on the McKay's record label. This one from January 64. Give a listen to J.J. Barnes. J.J. Barnes on the McKay's label. It's called Just Once. Wait. Just one more time.
Tell me that you love me. Tell me that you
January 1964 release there for Mr. J.J. Barnes. J.J. Barnes on the McKay's record label, Just One More Time. You can pick that one up also on the Scepter label. Think it's less expensive on the Scepter label. Now, J.J. Barnes was the brother to Orthea Barnes, and she has a good one on the Cora label. I think in 1967, I forget the name of it. Actually, a few records on the Cora label. Johnny G spinning all 1960s 45s. Let's continue here. This gal, she was born in Detroit, but she relocated to Brooklyn, New York. Her real name is Rita Coleman. She had 3 releases on the Redbird record label. Let's give a listen to her second, and this is the one that is most in demand for some reason. Her name is Roddy Joy. Roddy Joy. Let's go to June of 1965. Redbird Records, Roddy Joy with He's So Easy to Love.
Such a sweet and handsome guy, and in his eyes it's heaven that I see. Oh, he's everything that any girl could want, and I want him oh so bad. He's so easy to love. Oh, he's so easy to love. Tells me I should follow him, hoping someday he will notice me, and I'll be so very happy when this love of mine is all he'll ever see. Every girl I know says she loves him so, but I love him so much more. He's so easy to love. Oh, he's so easy to love. Oh, 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 oh. La, 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 him so, but I love him so much more. He's so easy to love. Oh, he's so easy to love. Oh, 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 oh. He's so easy to love. Did you hear me say that he's so easy to love? He's so easy to love. He's so easy to love. He's so easy to love.
That's the second of 3 for Miss Roddy Joy on the Redbird record label. June 1965. He's So Easy to Love is the name of that one. She had 4 more releases on the Parkway label. Unfortunately, she never really had a hit. And yes, Clark, that should have been a bigger hit. It should have been a big hit for her, but it wasn't. As we continue here on the All 60s edition, we head to Los Angeles, California for this next group, headed by Frankie Carl Springs. Now, he had other groups like the Chevrons on the Philtown label and also the Dreams that recorded on the DC label. But here he is with a group called the Trips with 2 P's. The Trips here. This charted regionally and in many places on KACY in Oxnard, California, WPOP in Hartford, Connecticut. This was a number 24 on KGFJ in Los Angeles, California. This one from September 1967. Give a listen to the Trips on the Victory label. It's called Give It Back. Put that on, gotta put that on again. happening to that record? Hold on. Let me change the needle here. I don't like that needle. Put another needle on here. Silent radio here. Hold on a second, folks. Why is that happening there? Put a new needle on. Oh man, that is not good. Dead air, folks. Dead air. Let's try this again. There we go. That's better.
Give it back, baby, baby. Give it back, baby, baby. Give it back. I wanted it, baby, for always. Give it back. You gave it to me, baby, for a few days. Your love was the best love I ever had. Now that I just don't have it, I feel so sad.
I don't know what happened to that record. It didn't sound, actually one of the records before did not sound right. Maybe that needle needed to be replaced. Usually they don't go that bad that quick, but let me look at this record. I'll show you the record in those of you in the chat room. See, this is the record. It's mint, this record. There's no scratches on that record. See, Evan, no scratches on that 45. It's okay. It's okay, man. I don't know what's going on anyway. Johnny G here for a Saturday evening. We heard the Trips there. Let me tell you what that was. That was the Trips from September 1967 on the Victory label. It was a song entitled Give It Back. Got to say hi to my cousin Jay, tuned into the Vinyltreasure show tonight. And we continue here. And up next here is a song written by Richie Adams. He was the lead singer of the Fireflies, and he also had a bunch of solo releases on a bunch of labels, but this is on the Veep label, arranged and conducted by Leroy Glover. This gal goes by the name of Zena Foster. Zena Foster, it's from August 1965. Let's give it a spin here. Zena Foster on Veep. It's called Make It Me.
When you feel the world's falling down on you, and you don't know who to turn to, a love that shuts the world outside. I'll build your ego and your pride. Please let me try. Let me have a chance to make you mine. I've been wanting you for a long, long time. Make it, make it, make it, make it me. Why can't you see? I wanna be more than a friend to you. So look in your heart and tell me if you feel the same way too. Stop feeling sorry sitting home alone, long, long. I'll give you love that you've never known. If you're my own, so come to my arms now. Kiss away all the pain that'll come your way. Make it, make it, make it, make it me. Oh, make it, make it, make it, make it me. Oh, make it, make it, make it, make it me.
That's the first of two for Miss Zena Foster. August 1965 is on the Veep record label. Make It Me is the name of that one. Remember, Barry Solt sold me that record. And I think he charged me, well, with my discount, $75 I paid for that 45. I guess well worth it. That's a pretty cool tune as we continue here on the Vinyl Treasure Show. Here's a flip side I wanted to play for a number of months now. Featured the B-side of this Smash 45 released by Billy and the Essentials. They were out of Philadelphia, PA. I played the B-side. It was called Baby Go Away. But let's give a listen to the A-side before I file it back down in the No Humidity basement. This one arranged by Sammy Lowe. This charted number 17 on KIMM in Rapid City, South Dakota. It features Billy Carlucci on lead from November 1966. Give a listen to Billy and the Essentials on the Smash label. It's called Don't Cry. Sing along with the music.
When you feel
Jazz. Billy and the Essentials there. Billy Carlucci on lead. November 1966 release. Don't Cry, parentheses. Sing Along with the Music is the name of that one. Came out on the Smash record label. They're saying that the Allentown, Pennsylvania show is coming up. It's March 21st. I really have to go to that. Haven't really spent a lot on 45s. I don't know if that's a good thing or not, but I'm so used to buying records every year and not any big ticket items. I mean, really big ticket items in a while. But as I stop buying on eBay, I will not buy big records on eBay anymore. They're going to have to sell them to me privately. I am not paying that sales tax. No way. As we continue here on the Vinyltreasure show, and requests are difficult for my 1960 show, but I was able to find a few tonight, not all of them, unfortunately, so you have to bear with me. I eventually do find them, but it's very difficult because I don't have them filed by alphabetical order. They're just in boxes, so it is a big mess, my 60s. Not my 50s, but my 60s are. And here's a request for Nat Papagallo listening in Naples, Florida, for this gal that just celebrated a birthday not too long ago, February 9th, I think. She was 77 years old, and I think Nat celebrated a birthday too recently. So we say happy birthday to both of them. And this is a 45 my aunt purchased in early 1965. I rarely play hits here on the Vinyltreasure show, but I like this tune. It was a big hit, number 11 on Billboard, number 10 on Cashbox, a big number 1 R&B hit. And I hope I don't get penalized by the YouTube police. Last week on my show, I had so many angry emails from people that said, your show's not up. It's not posted. It's not. And what happened was I come back up after around 2 a.m. to check to see if the show posts correctly. And I get this email that my show has been blocked in all countries because I played a Tony Sheridan and the Beatles record. I said, when did I do that? I did not. It was the Townsman from 1963. So I never filed a dispute. I'm afraid to really push YouTube, but I did. I said, look, because it was asking me these questions. Do you own the rights and this and that? And I couldn't say no. So I said it was a public domain because I didn't really get an email telling them that there was a copyright infringement on that specific record. So I said, look, I always take the records off. I take them off when you tell me I have a copyright issue. And this one is a mistake. Your filters made a mistake. So I think they realized it, and I think it took them a day and a half or so. I think by Tuesday or longer. By Tuesday it was up, I guess. But I had some nasty emails. So if you do not see the show posted or it's blocked, it's because YouTube blocks my video because it automatically posts. It's YouTube that blocks it with their filter. I hope they don't block it for this one. We'll send it out to Nat from March 65 on the Atlantic label, Miss Barbara Lewis with her big hit. It's called Baby, I'm Yours.
Baby, I'm yours. Baby, I'm yours. And I'll be yours until the stars fall from the sky. Yours until the rivers all run dry. In other words, until I die. Baby, I'm yours. Baby, I'm yours. And I'll be yours until the sun no longer shines. Yours until the poets run out of rhyme. In other words, until the end of time. I'm gonna stay right here by your side. Do my best to keep you satisfied. Nothing in the world can drive me away. 'Cause every day you hear me say, baby, two and two is three. Yours until the mountain crumbles to the sea. In other words, until eternity, baby, I'm yours. Till the stars fall from the sky, baby, I'm yours. Till the rivers all run dry, baby, I'm yours.
Hits here on the Vinyltreasure Show. Rarely play a hit, but that's going out to Nat. March 1965, Miss Barbara Lewis on the Atlantic label. Baby, I'm Yours is the name of that one. She had 17 releases on Atlantic Records between 1962 and 1969, and that was her biggest hit. That was her 8th release. And it was a big #1 record on WMBR in Jacksonville, Florida. As we continue here, and next up, the first of only 2 flip sides from last month's 60s show. And last month I played a 45 by Ray Fleming from July 1964 on the Purdy label. It was called Another Like You. So let's flip that 45 over before I file it back down in the No Humidity basement. It's a tune he co-wrote from July 64, Mr. Ray Fleming on Purdy Records. It's called For Better or For Worse.
Do you take this girl to be a lawful wedded wife, to have and hold for the rest of your life, to love and cherish to the ends of the earth, come what may, for better or for worse? Dearest one, my heart belongs to you, and I'll do just what you want me to until the end of time. Don't you worry, I'll have no regrets, no matter just how hard it gets. Love me and say you'll be mine. For better or for worse, for better or for worse, for better or for worse, for better or for worse. Thought of your love passing by. For me, there could be no greater hurt. No, no, no. But just think of all the joys I'll find now that you have vowed that you're mine. Take me for better or for worse. For better or for worse, for better or for worse, for better or for worse, I'm gonna keep on loving you, darling. I'm gonna stick to you, baby. It's for better or for worse.
Scratchy 45s here. Sounds like the real thing. It is the real thing. Ray Fleming there, July 1964. For Better or For Worse is the name of that tune on the Purdy record label. And That one there, what I had a little note here, that side was also arranged and conducted by Horace Ott. Got to keep your eyes peeled for 45s with that name mentioned on the label, as there are others too, as we continue here on the All 60s edition. As this next tune was first recorded by Patty Jerome on the American Arts record label back in December of 64, but this is a nice cover, which charted number 48 on KIMN in Denver, Colorado. Came out on the Tower label in May of 1965, and this gal's name is Judy Murdoch. Judy Murdoch here from May 65 on Tower Records. Give a listen to her rendition of the tune, Baby Let Me Be Your Baby.
Since the day you said hello, you're the one I've wanted so.
Cover tunes here on the Vinyltreasure Show. Judy Murdoch there doing the Patty Jerome tune, Baby Let Me Be Your Baby. That one there from May 1965 on the Tower record label. I think that's her only release, unfortunately, and that's a cool tune. I agree, Randy. As we continue here on the Vinyltreasure Show, here's another request for Warren Russell, listening in the state of Oregon. He's in the YouTube chat room there, and this was pure luck that I even found this request, as I often do with the 1960s show. They're very difficult, as I mentioned before. But this one here, I pull, actually, because what I really did this week is whenever I do my 60s show, I pull out like a random box of 45s. I just play them. I just, lots of times, Dave the Rave listens in with me, gives me comments on the record. What's that one? That's a good one. I have that one. That's a good one you want to play. So he knows a lot about, very knowledgeable, much more than I am in the 1960s stuff. I can beat him on the 50s stuff, but not the 60s stuff. Dave's pretty knowledgeable about that. But then I get an email from Warren, and I saw in his email, and he requested this group. I said, wait a minute, I just had that record here. I wonder if that's the same record he requested, because I had the other side to play of this 45, and so I looked at the flip side. I said, wait a minute, this is Warren's request. So by luck, Warren, I had this record available, and it was your request. It was very coincidental. So let's give it a spin for Bopper Boy Warren. This group from Atlanta, Georgia, had so many cool tunes on the ABC Paramount record label, and many written by Ray Whitley, as he did write this one. So let's give a listen to the Tams with Joseph Pope on lead from March of 1965. The Tams with What Do You Do When Your Lover Leaves You?
you do when she deceives you? What do you do? What do you say? What do you do when your heart's broken? What do you do when vows are broken? What do you do? What do you say when she walks away? Should I try to go? Should I try to be strong? Should I try to forget? Should I get on my knees and beg her, please, please, please? Or should I try to warn you? Tell me, what do you say? When she breaks your heart, when the teardrops fall, what do you say? Well, I've gotta know now. Should I apologize? Or go outside her door? Should I let her go? Well, somebody help me, please.
As by request for Bopper Boy Warren, those are the Tams, March 1965. It's on the ABC Paramount record label, What Do You Do, parentheses, When Your Love Leaves You. Now, that song produced by Joe South, who, by the way, wrote the flip side of that, which I will play next month on the 60s show. That was their 6th of 18 releases between 1963 and 1969 on the ABC Paramount record label. As we move on here on the All 60s edition, for this gal from Brooklyn, New York, she would have her biggest hit in 1970 on the United Artists label, a song entitled For the Love of Him. But she first recorded in 1961 for the Coral label. She had a total of 18 releases for Coral. This was her 15th. It was a song she wrote. This one from April of 1966. Give a listen to Bobby Martin. Bobby Martin on the Coral label. It's called I Can Give You Love.
I can give you love, that's true. I can give you love, not the blues. I can give you love, that's rare. I can give you love anytime, any place, anywhere. She's a woman who hurt you with her lies. Now that she has left you, come here by my side. 'Cause I can give you love, that's true. I can give you love, not the blues. I can give you love, that's rare. I can give you love anytime, any place, anywhere. She played you for a fool and made you look like a clown.
That's Bobby Martin. That's her 15th of 18 releases on the Coral label. April 66. I Can Give You Love is the name of that one. Now, one of her Coral releases actually did fairly well. 1964, Don't Forget I Still Love You. That was number 19 on the Billboard charts. As we continue here with the All 60s edition, we do it the last Saturday of every month right here on Top Shelf Oldies. And those of you watching me on the YouTube station, I guess we can call it now. This next singer is from Los Angeles, California. He was previously the lead singer of the Safaris. The Safaris, they had a big hit in 1960 with Image of a Girl on the Eldo label. Now, his name is Jimmy Stevens. Now, he did have a solo release on the Eldo label in 1961, but here's one from July of 1963 on the Valiant label. It was written by Barry DeVorzen and Bodie Chandler. It sounds like Barry and the Tamerlanes are backing him up on this one. You can be the judge. And Barry and the Tamerlanes also recorded this song, but in 1964. Let's go back to July of 1963 for Jimmy Stevens on the Valiant label. It's called A Funny Thing Happened. Scratchy.
Well, I said that I didn't want her, that I didn't love her no more. So we said goodbye and she left me. But when I saw her walk out the door, a funny thing happened. A funny thing happened. I started to cry. I started to miss her. And I didn't know why. Well, I thought that I'd never miss her, but now I know I was wrong. Well, I thought that I'd never need her, but as soon as I knew she was gone, a funny thing happened. I felt so alone. I wanted to hold her, to call her my own. Ooh, what a fool I must have been. I was blind not to ever know just how much she meant to me. Oh, why did I let her go? Never knew just how much I'd miss her. I never knew how lonely I'd be. So I called and told her I loved her, and I begged her to come back to me. Then a funny thing happened. I heard no reply. I waited and waited. I thought I would die. Then a funny thing happened. She started to cry. She said she still loved me. Yeah. She started to cry.
July 1963 release there, Jimmy Stevens. Jimmy Stevens, he was a lead singer of the Safaris, and that one there, A Funny Thing Happened. It's on the Valiant record label. Barry and the Tamerlanes backing him up on that one. Definitely sounds like that. And of course, they also recorded that tune. Also, Johnny G here for a Saturday evening. We continue now. This next group, they're out of Cleveland, Ohio. They recorded on the Congress label. This is their first of two on Congress, and they were known as the Initials. But let's give a listen to their third release. They changed their name to Angelo and the Initials, and Angelo is really Angelo Ortega. He is on lead. This one from November 64. Give this one a listen. Angelo and the Initials on Congress Records. It's called I Should Have Listened.
I lost her, couldn't keep her. Now I need her, oh so bad. You tried to tell me she was running around. was gonna put me down. I thought it was a lie when you said our love would die. Oh why didn't I listen to what you had to say? If I had listened, I wouldn't be lonely today. You give me all of your sympathy. You seem to understand what's wrong with me. The reason I cry, the reason I sigh, oh my, I should have listened to what you had to say. If I had listened, I wouldn't be lonely today. The reason I cry, the reason I sigh, oh my, I should have listened to what you had to say. If I had listened, I wouldn't be lonely today.
That's Angelo and the Initials. Angelo and the Initials, November 1964. I should have listened on the Congress record label. We could play You Wouldn't Listen by the Ides of March. That'd be a cool follow-up. Anyway, they would play greaser clubs in downtown Cleveland. The lead, Angelo Ortega, he ended up owner of the Fat Alberts Club in the 1970s. Unfortunately, he passed away in 1999, but left us with some cool tunes as we continue here on the Vinyl Treasure Show. Here's a gal from Los Angeles, California, first recording as Jane Bowman in 1961 on the Sapien label. She had 2 records on Sapien. I have them both. Some cool teener tunes by her. But she also recorded as Jane Canada, and with this release on the Magic Lamp label. And she sounds a lot like Jackie DeShannon on this. And by the way, the tune was written by Jackie DeShannon. Let's give it a spin here. December 1964, Jane Canada, a.k.a. Jane Bowman. It's on Magic Lamp. It's called Am I Dreaming?
Am I dreaming that you're with me? Am I dreaming you just kissed me? I've waited for the day when you would come my way. Am I dreaming? Is it real that you understand how I feel? The one I've waited for, our love forevermore. Am I dreaming? I knew you'd come one day. Hey, 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 every night I pray. I'm so happy when you're near, except for one thing that I feel that I might be dreaming. Oh, I don't wanna be dreaming.
Yes, Daryl, that one there was picked up by Crusader Records, but that is Jane Canada, a.k.a. Jane Bowman, December 1964, Am I Dreamin', originally on the Magic Lamp record label, the tune written by Jackie DeShannon. This she had a later one on Crusader, and then this song, her second one, it was picked up, I think, as a B-side in 1967 on the Crusader record label. I'm kind of bummed out. I just found out that record it's not a hairline crack. It's actually a pretty deep crack that goes halfway into the groove. I'm not happy about that. I don't know what does that record sell for? Anybody see a price on a Pop Psych or what this record by Jane Canada sells for? Because I got to find another copy. I hate cracked 45s. I'm telling you, I do not like cracked 45s, even if they're around the label. How sometimes the mailers come in and the people pack them too tightly. They're slightly dished. These guys in the post office, they do not handle the mail right. Don't ever trust the post office, believe me. Anyway, Johnny G babbling on here. Let's continue here. And speaking of Jackie DeShannon, how about we hear one of her tunes? Now, it's a B-side to her second release on the Imperial record label. Now, the A-side was a song called The Lifetime of Loneliness. It was a Bacharach David tune, but the flip side she wrote. So let's give a listen to the B-side here from September 1965. Jackie DeShannon on Imperial. It's called Don't Turn Your Back on Me. That's Ms. Jackie DeShannon. That's a B-side there from September 1965. That's a B-side to A Lifetime of Loneliness. It's called Don't Turn Your Back on Me. That one there, her second release on the Imperial record label as we continue here. Now, this next 45 had me puzzled for a bit, and maybe some of you listeners can help me. Now, this record came out on the Fontana label. Now, the group is called The Golden Horizon, and the record was produced by Jim Golden for Dunwich Productions, but the writers of the tune are Gary Loizo, and Frank Myers. Now, those names are writers on another tune by the Bazooka Company, which also came out on Fontana, and which also had those two writers in the writer credit in 1969, and was re-released on the Paramount record label as The American Breed. Now, I think this group is The American Breed, And I think that Gary Loizo, that's his name, Loizo, is on lead because this one's from October of 69. They're called The Golden Horizon. Let me know if you think this is really the American Breed, if they sound like it. It's on Fontana Records. It's called Love is the Only Answer.
I've been feeling down for such a long time. The emptiness of my life was pressing my mind. Then you came and filled me full of love. Now I know I just can't get enough. I heard someone say love's the only answer. Now that I've got you, I can understand it. Couldn't even smile until I met you. Didn't realize what love could do. Rainbows fill my mind when you're around. I can't get enough of the love we found. I heard someone say love's the answer. Now that I've got you, I can understand it. Don't know how I ever got along without you before now. Now I know what loving means. I'm flying on a cloud. This so cloudy world is getting sunnier. Even the monkeys at the zoo are getting funnier. It feels so good to get up every day. 'Cause girl, I know our love is gonna stay. I heard someone say love's the answer. Now that I got you, I can understand it. I heard someone say love's the answer. Love's the answer. Love's the answer.
That group's called The Golden Horizon on the Fontana record label. Love is the Only Answer. It's from October 1969. I'm telling you, I think that's the lead of the American Breed. I don't know what the last record was on Acta by the American Breed, but Gary Loizo, he wrote that tune. And then actually the Bazooka Company had the same writers, and then that Bazooka Company song was re-released on the Paramount label as the American Breed, I think in early 1970 or late night. I don't know when it was, but it was either late 69 or early 70. But anyway, I think that's the lead of the American Breed. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but let's continue here on the All 60s edition as we go to this trio from Hollywood, California. You all know them, best known for their songs. I think their two biggest songs, I'm a Fool and I'm Not the Lovin' Kind. I'm talking about Dino, Desi, and Billy, who were Dean Martin Jr., Desi Arnaz Jr., and Billy Hinshaw. I think that's how you pronounce it. Did I say that right, Dave the Rave? I don't know. But here is their 8th of 14 releases on Frank Sinatra's Reprise label. And this one charted number 6 on KOCK in Billings, Montana. Let's go to October 1966 on the Reprise label for Dino, Desi, and Billy with their tune. It's called I Hope She's There Tonight. That tune produced by Jimmy Bowen, arranged by Al Capps. It's off their LP Souvenir. And that's Dino, Desi, and Billy, October 1966. That's their 8th of 14 releases on Reprise Records. I Hope She's There Tonight is the name of that one. I hope you're there tuned into the Vinyl Treasure Show tonight as we continue here. And here's a pretty nice sound by this artist, originally from Omaha, Nebraska, was a regular on Dick Clark's Where the Action Is. It's quite a few releases dating back to the late 1950s. As a matter of fact, even did some acting, and all of his songs, he's probably best known for his 1963 cover of the Arthur Alexander tune Every Day I Have to Cry. I'm talking about Steve Alamo, and he signed with ABC Paramount Records in 1964. Now here he is doing a Sloan Barry composition. This one charted number 16 on WQAM in Miami, Florida from October 1966. Give a listen to Steve Alamo. Steve Alamo on the ABC record label. It's called Pardon Me. It's My First Day Alone.
Pardon me if I seem to be a little bit different today. Pardon me if I seem to act a little bit peculiar today. 'Cause it's my first day of being alone since she left me. Said she's not gonna I'm just trying to keep from crying over that girl now. And it's my first day of feeling the pain of being lonely, and no one's to blame but me. Me and my stupid ways. When will I ever learn? If you treat someone like dirt, you just get hurt in return. So if you see her, tell her for me I can live without her, no how. Oh, I can't get used to this lonely feeling. I need her here beside me right now. And won't you ask her to forgive and forget all the bad times we had in the past? And please make my first day alone my very last. And won't you ask her to forgive and forget all the bad times we had in the past? And please make my first day alone my very last.
That's the 12th of 13 releases on the ABC Paramount record label for Steve Alamo. Steve Alamo, October 1966. That's a Sloan Barry composition. Pardon me, parentheses, it's my first day alone. You're never alone, not on a Saturday evening from 10 to midnight right here on Top Shelf Oldies with Johnny G on the Vinyltreasure Show. Now here's a later one by the Shangri-Las. Actually, it's their very last single, as a Redbird was running into financial problems and Shadow Morton took them over to Mercury Records, and Mercury ended up purchasing a bunch of their masters, if not all their masters, and as a result, there were 2 singles that came out on the Mercury label. Now, here's the B-side to their very last release. It was written by Richie Cordell and Sal Tremacci, and it features, of course, Mary Weiss on lead. This one from March of 1967. Here are the Shangri-Las on the Mercury label. It's the B-side of the 45. It's called Footsteps on the Roof.
City down below, sleeping once again. I'm waiting here so patiently. My love will soon be here for me. The silence of my room, the loneliness of night will surely fade and disappear. I'll know it when my love is getting near. I'll hear footsteps on the roof. I hear his footsteps on the roof. I'll run up there and turn it on. He'll tell me that he loves me. The music will play. And the music will play. I do most everything to pass the time away. 'Cause every moment that goes by, I'm not much closer to my guy. The silence of my room is suddenly no more. Excitement seems to fill the air. I know it 'cause my love is getting near. Footsteps on the roof. Footsteps on the roof. Oh, run up there and grab your hand and tell me that he loves me. The music will play.
I climb the stairs and shut the door, turn the lock, alone once more. I sit and stare at stars up above and dream of the moment I'll run to my love. Come to me, come to me.
Footsteps on the groove. I was there and come to me. You tell me that he loves me. Music will play. Music will play. So all
They recorded that track at Redbird Records, and somehow, again, Mercury Records purchased that and put it out. They really didn't develop the Shangri-Las, though, unfortunately. Then that was it. They were done. That was the end of the Shangri-Las. That's their second release on the Mercury label from March 1967, Footsteps on the Roof. The flip is like some Vietnam song, some tune there, but I forget the name of it. I will check it out as we continue here on the All 60s edition. Now, there was a duo of brothers. They were called the Duncan Brothers. They had two cool releases on the Capitol record label in 1966. They were Lanny and Robert Duncan, but prior to those Capitol releases, they did this one release on the Decca label as Robbie and the Revelations, and it's a song they both wrote, and this is the intended B-side of the 45. We go back to August of 1965, Robbie and the Revelations, aka the Duncan Brothers, on the Decca label. It's called Have I Stayed Away Too Long?
Have I stayed away too long? Were you true while I was gone? Did you yearn for my return? And does your love for me still burn? Or have I stayed away too long? Did you go with other guys? Did they sway you with their lies? Or did you tell them you was yours and that you'd wait forever for me? Or have I stayed away too long? I've spent a lot of lonely nights and blues, hoping you would still be mine when I return to you. Tell me how it's gonna be. Are you waiting patiently? Were you lonely? Did you miss me? When you see me, will you kiss me? Or have I stayed away too long? Have I stayed away too long? Hey, have I stayed
As Robbie and the Revelations there, aka the Duncan Brothers, August 1965 came out on the Decca label. That was the intended B-side, by the way, which I think is better. Have I Stayed Away Too Long is the name of that tune as we continue here. And actually, Lanny Duncan, by the way, had earlier releases in his career on the Candix label beginning in 1960. As we continue here on the All 60s edition, we head back to Hollywood, California. We go for Two People. That's the name of the group, Two People, which were a duo consisting of Rita Martinson and Pat Briley, and they had 5 releases on the Liberty record label. Now, this was their first, was written by half the duo, Pat Briley. This one arranged by Jerry Long. Let's give it a spin here. August 1965 on the Liberty label. They're called Two People. The song is called City Life.
City evenings full of life, music and singing every night.
When the shades of night are falling
disappearing. There's a strange excitement in the air. All the city starts rehearsing melodies, yeah. Have no fear, soon you'll hear the song that a symphony will play each night. City life, but just don't give up that city life now. City life.
That's the first of 5 for 2 people on the Liberty record label, August 1965. City Life, Rita Martinson and Pat Briley, those were the 2 people. Now, Pat had one release in 67 on the Wiz label, and Rita had one on the WMC label in 1968. As we continue here, and here's another act from Memphis, Tennessee. They are a duo, first recorded for Mercury Records as Tony and Terry. They are Tony Rossini and Donna Terry Weiss, and they have this release on the Monument label, written by Donna Terry Weiss, produced by Ray Stevens. When you see Ray Stevens on the label, Johnny G flocks to play the record, as it's probably a 90% chance that it's pretty good. And let's go to October 1966 on the Monument label for Tony and Terry and the Pirates. It's called Back on My Feet Again.
Oh, my baby, how you hurt me the day you said goodbye, I'm leaving you. I thought I was lost forever, but I've been found by somebody new. And now you come back underneath. Baby, I'm right back up on my feet. Don't cry so long. Don't cry so long. I'm so sorry, but that's a story. I'm loving now like I never loved before. And it's all because you left me alone and crying. You walked out the door, and now you come back on your knees. Baby, I'm right back up on my feet again. Life is so sweet again. Don't cry so long. Don't cry so long. Things are looking so fine. Just look at my long light shine. Back on my feet
That's on the Monument label. That is Tony and Terry and the Pirates. October 1966 release. Back on My Feet Again is the name of that one, produced by Ray Stevens. Let's continue here. And this next group formed while attending Central High School in South Bend, Indiana. Back in 1962, they signed with Riviera Records in 64. They had their first release, which was their biggest hit, a cover of the Joe Jones tune, California Sun. But they never ever had another national hit like that again, but they had 7 releases on the Riviera label. Let's give a spin to their 6th with Bobby Whiteside on lead. This one from September 1965. Here are the Rivieras on the Riviera label. It's called Somebody Asked Me.
Somebody asked me if I knew how that girl could be so cruel. Somebody asked me if I knew, and I told that somebody she'd make him blue. Somebody asked me if I cried while that girl was telling lies. Somebody asked me if I cried, and I told that somebody I had some pride. the game of love I've learned my lesson on how to achieve happiness. You gotta love a while, then try to walk with a smile when it's over. I'm really just trying to warn him by saying the things that I do, 'cause that girl will just try to hurt him. Can't he see what I'm saying is true? I'll tell him love a while, then walk away with a smile when it's over. Somebody asked me if I knew why that girl was so untrue. Somebody asked me if I knew, and I told that somebody, don't be a fool. Someday another will really love you.
September 1965, release there for the Rivieras. The Rivieras on the Riviera label. That is their 6 of 7 on Riviera. Somebody Asked Me is the name of that tune. Hope you're digging on these cool 1960s songs. Here's a Garage 45 by a group out of Cleveland, Ohio. It's the first of 2 on Jimmy Testa's Tima label. It was written by the keyboard player of the group. His name is Doug McCutcheon. This one charted number 29 on WHK in Cleveland, Ohio. Now, this one is from March 65. They're called the Tulu Babies on the Tima label. It's called Hurtin' Kind.
You're the hurting kind. Need you by my side to keep me satisfied. I need your love, that's all I'm picking up. But I don't want you, 'cause you're the hurting kind. Always messing around, out doing it down with some other guy. All I do while you out having fun is sit and cry. Feel so bad 'cause you're making me sad. I have to leave 'cause I just can't stand this grief. But I don't want you, 'cause you're the hurting kind. Just can't stay any longer. Instead of going away, my love for you is growing stronger. Can't take it anymore, I'm walking out the door. I just can't stand this pain, it's driving me insane. Because you're the hurting kind.
That's on the Tima label, T-E-M-A, March 1965 by the Tulu Babies. Song entitled Hurtin' Kind. Now, this group would continue to record on Tima, but as the Baskerville Hounds. And there's a girl group called the Bittersweets that covered this same tune on the Tima label back in 1967. As we continue, here's another garage sound by a group from Bartlesville, Oklahoma. Their first release came out on the Thrush label in 1965. They followed it up with this one on the Campus label with a K out of Coffeesville, Kansas. It was written by the lead singer. His name is Jerry Waugh. Jerry Waugh, November 1966. Give a listen to The Skeptics. The Skeptics on the Campus label. It's called Ride Child. Scratchy.
I saw the light that's been blinding me for so long. If you look around, girl, you will find that I am gone. They say watch out now, all the towers leave you for a ride. Well, I was a darkness, but now my eyes are open wide. Time after time, you took me for a ride. Now it's plain to see that you are the time. You better watch out, girl, or the world might fall in on you. But I don't care, girl, because now I'm away from you. Go away from me, child. Leave me alone. I said to this child, you go down your secret zone. Go away now and leave me alone.
November 1966 release there by The Skeptics. The Skeptics on the Campus label with a K. A song entitled Ride Child. They have later releases on the Showboat label and also on the Scratch label. Those are records I would get for a couple bucks from my doo-wop collectors. Because, I collect the labels. Yes, I do. Johnny G here for the 1960s all vinyl show. We do it the last Saturday of every month. This next group is out of London, England. They formed back in 1964. Now, their first release in the States was on the Roulette label in 1965. Then in 1966, they had a release on the HBR label. They followed it up with this one that I'm featuring on the Reprise label. As this charted regionally, this was number 19 on WOLF out of Syracuse, New York. It features Graham Bonney on lead from April 1966. Give a listen to the Riot Squad. The Riot Squad on Reprise Records. It's called How Is It Done?
On my mind, girl, you should know.
Yeah, called the Riot Squad. The Riot Squad, April 1966. Graham Bonnie on lead for that one. Is it done? It sounds like they said how it's done, but it's how is it done. Came out on the Reprise record label. Now, David Bowie would join this group in early 1967. As we continue here on the Vinyl Treasure Show, almost in overtime. I can't tell you much about this next 45 except that it's from August of 67, and it came out on the Double Shot record label. It was written by Lou Barretto, and the group is called The Do-Rights, spelled DOO-RIGHTS. Let's send this one out to Mr. Dave the Rave, our Sunday night DJ here on Top Shelf Oldies, August 1967. These are the Do-Rights on Double Shot. It's called Jingle Jangle. Called The Do-Rights. The Do-Rights, DOORIGHTS, August 1967. Came out on the Double Shot record label, Brenton Woods label. The Double Shot actually recorded on Double Shot, plus a bunch of other cool artists on the label. The Do-Rights with Jingle Jangle, as we are in Vinyl Treasure Overtime. Now here's the B-side to the sixth release by the First Edition on the Reprise record label. Excuse me. Actually, it's an album cut. It's from the LP, the First Edition. But the A-side was a song called But You Don't Know I Love You, which charted number 19 on the Billboard chart. But this is the flip side, which I like better. This one did chart, though. It was number 11 on WKFR in Battle Creek, Michigan. Let's go back to December 68 for the First Edition on Reprise. It's called Homemade Lies.
I thought the bits of love I gave would always get me by. I thought the deep down loving was a hard time alibi. I never would have done the things that make a good love die. If I'd have known what I was losing when I let you say goodbye. You said you left me, baby. The truth is killing me. Said you left me, baby. I have begun to see that the homemade lies that gave you weeping eyes are laughing at my misery. Yeah. the shallow words that now are drowning me. Forgive me for the uptight pride that kept love out of reach. Come back and let the love I feel erase those memories. Come back and let us have it like you know it ought to be. Cause since you left me, baby, the truth is killing me. Since you left me, baby, I have begun to see that the homemade lies that gave you weeping eyes are laughing at my misery. Yeah, since you left me, baby, the truth is killing me. Since you left me, baby, I have begun to see that the homemade lies that gave you weeping eyes are laughing and laughing and laughing at my misery. Oh yeah.
B-sides here on the Vinyltreasure Show. That's the first edition, December 1968, on the Reprise record label. Homemade Lies is the name of the tune. We are officially in Vinyltreasure Overtime. Up next, the lead singer for a group called The Pack. Now, the majority of their releases came out on the Lucky 11 label. Now, this artist is out of, is it Lapeer, Michigan? His real name was Richard Terrence Knapp, but he recorded as Terry Knight. He has 2 releases on the Cameo label, and this is his second, and it's a cover song. This was first recorded by Wilson Pickett in 1965 on the Atlantic label. It was written by Barry Mann and Cynthia Weil. This one charted number 7 on WTRX in Flint, Michigan. We go to July of 1967. His name is Terry Knight. Terry Knight. It's on Cameo Records. It's called Come Home, Baby.
I know just how bad I've hurt you. Let me make it up some way. What can I do just to prove I love you? Should I beg on my knees, baby, please come home? Baby, come home. Oh, come on home, baby. I need you by my side, girl. I'll be good to you, I promise.
Oh, I promise.
I'll do anything you say. I need your kiss. I can't go on like this. Treat me bad if you must, baby. Just come home. Oh, baby, come home. Please, baby, come on home. I'm begging you, begging you, begging you, begging you, begging, baby, come on home. What can I do just to prove I love you? Baby, come on home. Oh, come home, baby. I'm begging you, please. Please, baby, come on home. Baby, baby, I get down on my knees. I'm begging you, baby, begging, please. Oh, baby, come on home. Please, baby, come on home.
That's the second of 2 for Terry Knight on the Cameo record label, Come Home, Baby, from July 1967. Now, unfortunately, that Terry was stabbed on November 1st of 2004 by his teenage daughter's boyfriend. And he died. He was only 61 years old. As we continue here on the Vinyl Treasure Show, this next group, they are from Cardiff, California, and they were basically a garage band. All their releases are garage sounding on the Feather and on the Era record label, but their first one that came out on the GMP Crescendo label, they have more of a blue-eyed soul sound, and this is their first of two on GMP, written by their lead singer. His name is Craig Carl. Craig Carl is his name. This one from November 66. They're called The Lyrics. The Lyrics on GMP Crescendo. The song is called My Son.
My son, today's little boy, tomorrow's big man. I'm going to teach him all I can. I'm going to teach him wrong from right, and when he's troubled, to stand up and fight, to be strong.
That group is called The Lyrics, the first of two on the GMP Crescendo label, November 66. The Lyrics with My Son. We are in Vinyl Treasure Overtime here for the All 60s edition. Now here is the other flip side from the last 60s show. It's by Darlene Love. I featured her last single on the Phyllis label. The B-side, it was called He's a Quiet Guy. Let's give a listen to the intended A-side, which charted regionally. This was number 50 on WIBG in Philadelphia, PA from May of 1964. Give a listen to Darlene Love. This is the A-side on the Phillips label. It's called Stumble and Fall. I don't like that. We don't like to do that.
That you think I can't wait to
May 64 release for Miss Darlene Love on the Phyllis record label. Last release on Phyllis. Stumble and Fall is the name of that one. Featured my hard vinyl promo copy. Also have a styrene stock copy of that 45. Johnny G needs his head examined as we move on here in Vinyl Treasure Overtime. Now, this gal began recording back in 1959 as part of the duet Jamie and Jane, and she went solo in 1960. She's from New Haven, Connecticut. Her real name is Virginia Mazzaro, but we know her as Ginny Arnell. Now, she had 7 releases on the MGM record label. Let's give a listen to her 5th. This one written and produced by Chip Taylor, and this one charted regionally, number 25 on WQXL in Columbus, South Carolina. From January 1965, give a listen to Ginny Arnell on the MGM record label. It's called Just Like a Boy.
Met him on a Monday, and he walked me home. Held me tight on Tuesday night, and Wednesday he was gone. Ain't that just like a boy, making me feel like a toy? And each time I saw him, he whispered in my ear, put me on with pretty little words that girls just love to hear. Ain't that just like a boy, making me feel like a toy? He talked about diamond rings, he talked about lots of things. He talked about girls and boys and all the joys that love can bring. A Tuesday night he told me I was out of sight, yeah. Said he'd call on Wednesday morning, and now it's a Friday night. Ain't that just like a boy, making me feel like a toy? He talked about diamond rings, he talked about lots of things. He talked about girls and boys and all the joys that love can bring. A Tuesday night he told me I was out of sight. Said he'd call on Wednesday morning, and now it's a Friday night. But ain't that just like a boy, making me feel like a toy? I wanna tell you now, that's just like a boy, making me feel like a toy. Ain't it just like a boy?
That's Ms. Ginny Arnell. Ginny Arnell from January 1965. It's on the MGM record label. A song entitled Just Like a Boy as we continue here in Vinyl Treasure Overtime. Up next, a group from Richmond, Virginia, recorded on the local Phantom label. Can't really pin down the date of this release on this 45. Some of the books say 1974. And a 45 Cat says March of 1969, but either way, it's a cool tune here. They're called the Disciples of Soul. And it's a pretty cool tune. It sounds like it could be late 60s, but maybe it could be early 70s. I don't know. It's from, I'm guessing, March 69. Let's give it a spin. The Disciples of Soul on the Phantom label. It's called That's the Way Love Goes.
Well, baby, I told you I might have to break your heart. This
too. But no more, darling, do I want this kind of love from you. That's the way love is gonna go. That's the way love is gonna go. Get out of my life. Love is gonna go. 'Cause you're out of my heart. Love is gonna out, get out of my life.
They're out of Richmond, Virginia. They're called the Disciples of Soul. I'm guessing March 69 on the Phantom label. That's the way it goes. That record goes for some bucks, I think. I wouldn't call it killer expensive, but it's at least three figures on that 45. We continue here in Vinyl Treasure Overtime. Got a girl group out of Chicago, and this is a trio consisted of Thelma Jean Mack, Laurel Ross, and the lead singer, her name is Bernice Willis. Collectively, they were known as the Kittens. They recorded on ABC Paramount, and they had two on ABC Paramount, and they have two on the Chess label. This is their second. We go back to July of 68. The Kittens on the Chess label. It's called How Long Can I Go On?
I walk down the lonely streets, and every face I see is a total stranger. Sweethearts pass me holding hands. I wanna shout to them, your heart's in danger. If you need proof, just take a look at me. I've lost my love now, hopelessly. How long must that go on? How long can I go on without you? Maybe someday I'll find somebody who's big and strong, someone to cling to. 'Cause everybody needs somebody. And right now, darling, I need you. If you need proof, just take a look at me. I've lost my love now, hopelessly. How long must that go on? How long can I go on without you? Oh, how it hurts to be all alone. No one to care, no one to call your own. How it hurts to be all alone, sitting in my lonely room, hoping you'll come back soon. I walk down the lonely streets, and every face I see is a total stranger. Sweethearts pass me holding hands, and I wanna shout, your heart's in danger. If you need proof, just take a look at me. I've lost my love now, hopelessly. How long must that go on? Everything is going wrong. Darling, I can't go on like this. You fill my world with emptiness. How long must that go on without
Out of Chicago, those are the Kittens. Bernice Willis on lead, July 68 release. That's their second on the Chess label. How long, parentheses, can I go on? Johnny G will go on for a little bit more as we do Vinyl Treasure Overtime. We'll stay with the girl group sound. These girls are out of Philadelphia, PA. They had 4 overall releases. Their first came out on the Pageant label in 1963. They followed it up by releases on the Parkway and Fairmount labels. Now, this is their first single on the Amy label from July 1965, written and produced by Kenny Gamble and Leon Huff from July 65. Give a listen to the Taffies on the Amy label. It's called The Game Called Love.
I'm a genuine playgirl, you see. I got it in my mind, that's what I'll be. No, I can't see keeping my heart away to some boy who's gonna lead it astray. I'm afraid I became part of that's the last thing I'm afraid of. 'Cause I can't stand a heartbreak. No, no, no. 'Cause boys don't appreciate true love. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Love is what you make it, most people say. But it don't always turn out that way. No, and every time I see my girlfriend cry, she's been hurt by the no good guy. I'm afraid I became part of losing all. Last thing I'm afraid of, 'cause I can't stand the heartbreak. No, no, no. 'Cause boys don't appreciate true love. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't want nobody telling me what to do or where to go. 'Cause I'm young and I'm free, like a bird in a tree. So let the four winds blow. I'm afraid I became part of you losing all. Last thing I'm afraid of, 'cause I can't stand the heartbreak. No, no, no. 'Cause boys don't appreciate true love. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm afraid I became part of losing all. Last thing I'm afraid of. And every time I see my girl around, that's all I'm afraid of.
They're called the Taffies. Reminded me of Diana Ross and the Supremes there for a little bit. July 1965. The Game Called Love came out on the Amy record label. Let's continue here in the OT. Here's a group whose roots are in gospel. Many of their releases have that gospel flavor to them. Originally from Shelby, Mississippi, they moved to Chicago and initially recorded for Federal Records in the early 1960s. They next signed with the Sims label, then with Ernie Young's Excello record label. This is their fifth of six on Excello, and it's a cover of a Tommy James and the Shondells tune. Tommy James and the Shondells tune. We go back to September 1969. Give a listen to the Kelly Brothers on Excello, and their rendition of the tune Crystal Blue Persuasion.
Look over yonder. What do you see? The sun is rising. Maybe tomorrow, when he looks down, every green field in every town, all of the children, every nation. Love me. He's a good brotherhood. Crystal blue persuasion.
Cover tunes here in Vinyl Treasure Overtime. The Kelly Brothers there for September 69. It's on Excello Records, their version of Tommy James and the Shondells' Crystal Blue Persuasion. A few more to go here before we wind down here on the Vinyl Treasure Show. I closed one of my 60s shows a few months ago with the B-side of this Capitol release by Beryl Marsden, and she's from Liverpool, England. I featured her cover of the April Young tune "Gonna Make Him My Baby," but let's give a listen to the intended A-side of that 45 from December 1965. Her name is Beryl Marsden. This is on the Capitol record label, and the A-side's called "Who You Gonna Hurt."
Who you gonna hurt after I'm gone? Who you gonna hurt from now on? What pretty words you gonna say before you send him away? Just like you did to me. Who's it gonna be? Whose dreams you gonna take the way you took mine? Whose heart you gonna break? Who's next in line? Tell me who you gonna run to and alibi to. Now that I'm leaving you, oh, what you gonna do? Whose lips you gonna kiss just for a thrill? Whose words you gonna take, then I leave standing still? How many times you gonna be untrue before you're through? Who's after me? Oh, who's it gonna be? Sweetheart, after I'm gone, whose dreams you gonna take the way you took mine?
December 65 release there for Beryl Marsden. Beryl Marsden. Who You Gonna Hurt is the name of the tune. Came out on the Capitol record label. That's the intended A-side. For those of you sending requests, you can send me requests at vinyltreasures@aol.com. I play original records. I have records on 3 floors in the house. So if you send me an email at Vinyl Treasures, I can get it on, at least if it's a 60s song or Post Beatles song. I can play it for you on my next 60s show, because I'll be back next Saturday for a 50s and early 60s show. I play the music chronologically on my 50s and early 60s show. So we start with like the early 50s, and then we end up around 1962 or 63 if I ever get to it. But this is my all 60s show. I do it on the last Saturday of every month. So please send me an email at vinyltreasures@aol.com. Actually, let me know how you enjoy the show. These are my original records that I play. No MP3s, no CDs. I have LPs, but anyway, let's play a few more here before I sign off. And here's another girl group sound. I really have no info on this group, but it appears to be their only release that came out on the Mercury label. They're called The Petals, and the song was written, arranged, and produced by Jimmy Briggs. It's from February 67. Here are The Petals on Mercury. It's called You Can't Close, parentheses, the Windows of Your Heart.
Shy little guy, you afraid to even give love a try. You got your heart left up in a shore. You think you better all by yourself, but a storm is a coming, baby. I know a storm is a coming, baby, and you can't close the windows of your heart. 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 You built the wall around your heart, baby. You think no girl can tear that wall apart. One day a hurricane is gonna pass your door. She's gonna knock you down. No, I said a storm is coming, baby. I know a storm is coming, baby. And you can't close the windows of your heart. You can't close the windows of your heart. One day a hurricane is gonna pass your door. She's gonna knock you down. No, I said a storm is coming, baby. I know a storm is coming, baby. And you can't close the windows of your heart. The windows of your heart. You can't close 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 the windows of your heart. You can't close.
A girl group called The Petals, February 1967 on the Mercury label. You can't close, that's in parentheses, the windows of your heart. No, you can't. Johnny G here for a Saturday evening. I know John currently in my YouTube chat room. Not many shows play original vinyl anymore, so thank you for that comment, and thank you for tuning in to the Vinyl Treasure Show as we continue here in Vinyl Treasure Overtime. Up next, the last Liberty release for Mr. Gene McDaniels. Now, he really dates back to 1955 as a member of the Admirals on the King label. I feature that group on my 50s and early 60s show, but he signed with Liberty Records, had 16 releases. Now, this was his last one on Liberty Records. It was arranged by Gene Page. Now, this song was co-written by Keith Colley. We know Keith Colley also has some cool tunes. So let's go back to September of 1965. Gene McDaniels on the Liberty label. It's called Hang On, parentheses, Just a Little Bit Longer.
I know he he's buying you all those things I promised you. He's got your heart on a string, 'cause he can give you everything. But baby, hang on. Baby, hang on. Give me time to find my way. I'll be just as great someday. Hang on. Come on, baby, hang on. You've got your eyes on a star. I know you want to go far. Yeah, he can give you the world, but please don't leave me now, girl. Come on, hang on. Baby, hang on. Give me time to find my way. I'll be just as great someday. Hang on just a little bit longer. My chances of making it up getting stronger. All I really need is just a little time, and everything will work out fine. Please hang on. Baby, hang on. Give me time to find my way. I'll be just as great someday. Baby, hang on. Yeah. Come on, girl, hang on. Give me time to find my way. I'll be just as great.
As Jane McDaniels, 1961, he had 100 Pounds of Clay, had some big hits in the early 1960s, never really found that success, but that's a cool tune. That's his last release on the Liberty label. September 1965, Gene McDaniels with Hang On Just a Little Bit Longer. That's what we're going to do. We're going to do for a few more minutes here, and we continue here in Vinyl Treasure Overtime. Now, here's the flip side of a record I've been holding for a while. I featured this girl group called the Stylettes. They were out of Philadelphia. Now they're 45. First came out, the first presses came out on the Sandy label, and it was subsequently picked up by Cameo Records. And the side I played was called Packing Up My Memories, which was the intended B-side of the 45, but this was the A-side. It's kind of a frantic up-tempo. It features Barbara Mercer on lead. Now that's the same gal that had solo releases on Golden World and Saida and the Capitol record labels. Let's go back to September of 1964. They're called the Stylettes. The Stylettes, it's on the Sandy label. The song is called On Fire.
Every time you kiss me, I feel good. Feeling just like you knew I would, yeah. Each time you put your arms around
Those are they sound like the duets to me, but no, they're the stylettes. The stylettes there from September 1964, On Fire. You can get that on the Cameo label. I featured it on the first press on Sandy Records, Gene Arnold's Sandy record label. And we continue here in Vinyl Treasure Overtime for this gal born in Birmingham, Alabama, but she relocated to Los Angeles, California at age 8. She began recording at age 16 when she signed with Reprise Records. This was her second of 3 on Reprise, written by Ellie Greenwich and Tony Powers. It's produced by Jimmy Bowen, arranged by Jack Nietzsche. This one charted number 23 on KLIV in San Jose, California. Let's go back to July of 1963 for Pat Powdrill. Pat Powdrill on the Reprise label. It's called Happy Anniversary.
Happy anniversary. Oh, happy anniversary. Oh, I am so lucky to be your girl. Yes, I'm the happiest girl in the world. Happy anniversary, my darling. Happy anniversary. Oh, we've been together 1 year today. I know we'll always feel the same way. So happy anniversary, it's been a great year. So turn the lights down low and hold me in your arms. We'll dance this one real slow. Look into my eyes and whisper, happy anniversary. Oh, happy anniversary. Oh, and as you hold me, I know it's right. We'll still be sweethearts a year from tonight. So happy anniversary, it's been a great year. And as you hold me, I know it's right. We'll still be sweethearts a year from tonight. So happy anniversary, it's been a great year. Happy anniversary, it's been a great year. Happy anniversary, it's been a great year. So baby, stay. Happy anniversary, it's been a great year. Happy anniversary, it's been a great year.
That's the second of 3 for Pat Powdrill. That Pat Powdrill there, July 1963 on the Reprise record label. And her tune called Happy Anniversary. I hate styrene records. Sometimes they have some crackle and distortion on them. Styrene records, not a good, in the injector press way of making 45s, not a good way. Johnny G here in Vinyl Treasure Overtime. Let's continue with a little bit more. This next singer from Dallas, Texas, was a member of the 1950s group The Five Notes on the Chess label. They do a great tune in 1955 called Park Your Love, but he went solo in 1960. He signed with Don Robey's Peacock record label, had 12 releases on that label, and let's give a listen to his eighth release from May of 1965. His name is Al TNT Braggs. This is on the Peacock label, and the song is called Out of the Pan Into the Fire.
You came along and dried the tears from my eyes. I didn't know whether to stay, go, live or die. You gave me your love, but it was you were thinking of. What a fool am I? I jumped out of the pen. Out of the pen. the fire,
into the fire, out of the pan,
out of the pan,
to the fire.
into the fire. I've got to get myself together,
Woo!
baby, somehow. I mean some way, 'cause I don't know whether it's today or yesterday. Oh, let me go, because you're worse than the love I had before. What a fool am I? I jumped out of the pan,
Out of the pan,
into the fire.
into the fire, out of the pan,
I jumped out of the pan,
to the fire.
into that fire. I've got to get myself together, yeah, baby, somehow. I mean some way, 'cause I don't know whether it's today or yesterday. Why don't you let me go, because you're worse than the love I had before. What a fool am I? I jumped out of the pan,
Out of the pan,
into the fire,
into the fire, out of the pan,
out of the pan, into the fire. And oh, help me somebody. And oh, help me somebody. Help me somebody. Why don't you help me somebody?
As May 1965 on Don Robey's Peacock record label, Al TNT brags with his tune Out of the Pan and Into the Fire. Time for Johnny G to pop out of the chair and into my bed, as that's going to do it for Johnny G and the Vinyl Treasure Show. I want to thank you for joining Johnny G, listening to original vinyl 45s out of my collection. You want to get in touch with Johnny G, send me an email at vinyltreasures@aol.com. I take requests. Give me your comments about the show. I'm always love to hear from the listeners, as I often do. I get requests daily. I try to find the records. It's hard for my 60s show because I don't have a great filing system. My 50s stuff and early 60s is easy to find, but my 60s, they're difficult. I have some filed correctly, but others are not. I got to work on that. I need Charlene to come here to help me file these records. But anyway, that's going to do it for the show tonight. Hope you dug on all the cool tunes, and we're going to close the show tonight with actually a request. We're going to close the show tonight with a request for Mike Walbromsky, and he is a Facebook listener, and he requested this group from Indianapolis, Indiana, first recording as the Reflections on the Tiger label in 1963. Then in 64 they changed their name to the Illusions, and they would eventually become the Stark Naked and the Cat Thieves, which I played on the last 60s show. But here's a song Mike requested on the Laurie label, so it's going out to Mike from March of 64, The Illusions. It's called Maybe, parentheses, I May Be Wrong. That's the closer for tonight. That's going out to Mark. That's going to do it, folks, for the All 60s show. We do this show the last Saturday of every month, where I bring out Post Beatles 45s out of my collection. We'll be back next Saturday starting at 10 p.m. with 50s and early 1960s 45s. Got a lot of requests to fill next week, so if you like the 50s and early 60s, please tune in. I play the music chronologically on that show, but not on this show. But these are records that I do enjoy very much so. It's part of the legacy that my Aunt Mary left me, all this music. Although the 50s is not, I wasn't around in the 1950s, but I know that music well because of her. Again, thank you so much for tuning in. Tune in tomorrow evening for my buddy Dave the Raven, his Relics and Rarities show. Dave begins at 9 p.m. right here on Top Shelf Oldies. Dave's got cool 60s sounds that you're going to enjoy also, and he plays real records. I think it was on his anniversary show last week, he played all 45s, and he can do that again because he has 2 turntables now like I do. Anyway, that's going to do it, folks. Thank you, Charlene, for all your help again, as I couldn't do the show without you helping me with the research, and thank you all for sticking around and tonight and sticking with the show, and hopefully I'll see you next Saturday right here on Top Shelf Oldies. Everybody have a safe and happy week. I'll see you next week right here on the Vinyltreasure Show. Just want to say, everybody, so long.
Maybe you do love me. Maybe I will see. Maybe the things he said were true, and our romance is through. Or maybe I just may be wrong. Maybe you'll run around. Maybe you'll put me down. Maybe he said those things of you just to make me say we're through. Or maybe I just may be wrong. My heart is crying, I just can't decide just who is lying. All night long I tried. Maybe you do love me. Maybe I will see. Maybe he said those things of you just to make me break with you. Or maybe I just may be wrong. I just may be wrong. I just may be wrong. I just may be wrong.
All right, folks, that's going to do it. Thanks a lot, Charlene. As I mentioned, I know, John, it is very difficult to play original records, but I do it. I have been. I think I'm the only one on Top Shelf Oldies that played original vinyl from the beginning. From the beginning. There's the song, Maybe I May Be Wrong by the Illusions. But in the beginning, we're going to play that next on the next 60s show, Fred, so we will be doing that. But again, I'll be back next Saturday at 10 o'clock for my 50s and early 60s show. And again, those of you tuned in, if you subscribe to my YouTube page, you'll get notifications via email. You have to be registered with YouTube to get the notifications, but and to make comments on the show, because I always encourage comments on the show, and definitely requests. If I have the record, I try to I reserve the right to keep the integrity of the show to play songs that fit the program, because sometimes I get requests that maybe might not fit the program. I just don't want to play any record. I don't play I don't play pop records. I don't, unless possibly I was doing a countdown or something, like a countdown of a radio station. Sometime they have pop records that show up, and sometimes I replace them. But anyway, it's I do original records, and it's not that easy because I'm working on a lot of things at the same time. But the cool dynamic of it is, at least for a collector, is that you can actually physically see the records. And when I was a teenager, listening to all these cool shows in the New York area, you would always hear the record and you would try to imagine the label if you knew of the label, but other times you wouldn't know. If you were looking for the record, you wouldn't know what it looked like. That's why eBay is so cool, where you can see pictures, and the internet is so cool now. But you actually see the records here that I play, and I guess I've been doing it for a long time, so it's really I really get a lot of enjoyment when I do the show. And it was Dave the Rave that coaxed me into doing this, because I was a little bit nervous when I started doing it. But then you kind of get into the swing of things, and it actually is like it becomes old hat. It's not that easy when you first start it off. It's kind of rough, and but you grow into it, and I really look forward to the show. I spend a lot of time. Charlene really helps me quite a bit. She does a lot of the research for me, and she's so helpful to me. I really couldn't do it now for all that I do for the show without Charlene. I wish I had little elves to help me file the records away. Barbara doesn't do that. She doesn't want to do that. Only sometimes she does. But anyway, thanks again for sticking around. It was fun doing the show. I like to do this 60s show too, because a lot of these records I don't hear all the time. It's been years sometimes that I even pull these records out. And my buddy Dave the Rave, he knows. He's the Saturday night disc jockey on Top Shelf Oldies. So tune in to Dave tomorrow night, starting at 9 p.m. right here on Top Shelf Oldies. He does a great show if you like the 60s. And he also takes requests too. That's going to do it. Okay, everybody. So long, and I'll see you next Saturday right here on YouTube, or you can tune in at Top Shelf Oldies. You can also go to my website, vinyltreasures.net. I have a website. You can download the shows there. You can stream them, or you can go right here to YouTube, and you can check it out. Okay, everybody, good night. Bye-bye.